All right, that took some time. Oh, look at that. Hold on. My lights are turned off. Let me just fix that real quick, and also the chat. There we go. Nice. All right. It was hectic, but we got it. Just give me a second. Hey, Patrick. How's it going? Wait, hold on a second. There's a chat. There we go. Okay, that's good. Lock that in place. Turn on this light. Much better. And we have one more light. The one in the background here. Turn that on. And now we're ready. Okay. Whew. All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome. Today's gonna be an interesting episode because we're gonna be doing some DDD, domain-driven design, domain modeling. Okay? Let me just move things around. Should have been more organized. And just post one more place in the Discord, and that's it. That's it. All right. Whew. Okay, so yeah, welcome. If you're joining the for the first time, we are building an AI application with custom models and stuff for job applications, for CVs and stuff like that. And we are doing that in Django. And also, let me just see. There we go. We got this done. Damn. You gotta be more organized. And we are doing that in Django, just so we can learn Django. So this is a learning opportunity. It's not just like, hey, let's build an app and, become millionaires and stuff. That was the joke. That's why it's called Millionaire. So, yeah, it is a learning opportunity. And I want to learn Django. I want to learn Python. And that's why I picked those technologies. Cinematic, how's it going? So, yeah, we are learning Python. We're learning Django. We are learning machine learning as well. We are the machines. We're learning machine learning. So yeah, that is the idea. The idea is to like build an app that would help us with resumes, optimize our resumes for like specific job applications and stuff. And yeah, we don't have like a super concrete idea of this. The app is going to have these features and it's gonna look like this, etc., etc. Nope, we got none of that. So we're just gonna like improvise it until we reach to a point where we can say we do have something usable now and we're happy with this. So yeah, and we can like evolve it furthermore. But yeah, today we have some domain-driven design modeling scheduled. So up until this point, we created the repo, we fiddled around with Django and the authentication stuff. Gabriel, how's it going? Finally, you're not late. Yeah. Cinematic, I'm good. Just a bit like disorganized and chaotic, but we're here now. But yeah, where was I? Yeah, we did some authentication stuff in Django because Django has some pretty cool built-in features. We used Django REST framework, DRF, for our REST API because that's how the app is going to be built. Oh, Salma, how's it going? And yeah, that's where we are at. So we have authentication. I did some coding during the weekend, and I'm gonna show you what I changed. And today, before we actually go and create the database, create the models, etc. Morning, Edward. We are gonna do some modeling, and I haven't done this. Not like modeling, like photo modeling. We're gonna do some domain modeling, and I haven't done this. So this will be a really cool opportunity for us to learn domain-driven design, domain modeling. What are value objects, what are aggregates, what are entities, so we can, like set the whole thing up from the very beginning. And, yeah, clay modeling. There we go. We can also do some clay modeling. All right, let me switch over here. We're gonna look into this YouTube video later. We're not gonna listen to it. I did listen to it, but yeah, let me actually share this in the URL because Army Chai is a really cool guy. This should show up in the chat right now. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna open the canvas that we had for this application. There we go. I'm just gonna show the canvas. We are gonna be doing the modeling here. And in the meantime, I'm also going to open Kitty. It is opened. So first things first, I want to show you what I did in terms of authentication. So if you remember, or if you haven't watched this, I'm just gonna do a quick recap. We tried doing authentication, like the plain built-in authentication for username and password, but we kept getting hit with CSRF token issues. Now Django is primarily built to be like a server-side rendering web framework, so that you also have views in the project, aside from like the API endpoints. And we're not doing that in this case. We are just gonna build an API. We could have gone with Fast API, but we want to learn Django, right? So we are gonna be using Django for the batteries included feature, or characteristic of the framework, and we are just gonna use it as an API. That means we needed to install and use actually the Django REST framework. Okay, so we did that. The CSRF issue got fixed, but like maybe not, because we still had it in some cases, and that was all because I don't know. I have to look into it. Let me actually get rapid API up. Install the update later. Okay, and yeah, we tried to implement the authentication endpoints. That didn't really work. So I went in and installed the DRF. Let me actually pull that up as well. DRF simple JBT. There we go. This is a plugin on top of the... Good morning, Digital. This is a plugin on top of the Django REST framework that allows you to implement like JWT token authentication. Evie, welcome. So I did this during the weekend and it just worked, as expected. So let me show you. Let me show you this first, and then we can get into the modeling stuff. Okay, so URLs, right? Instead of login, logout, although we can change these, we have token, which will basically return the return a fresh token, and the token path or the token endpoint accepts a username and password. The token refresh is to like refresh the access token by providing a refresh token. We got those two. The blacklist is basically logout. I want to keep these as like this, just so we can, keep the terminology, token and refresh and blacklist. But that's what they are. This is login. This is like a new one for refreshing the access token. This is a logout functionality. It's just going to blacklist the... Oh, hold on a second. We also need keycaster. One user wrote a comment that they want me to use this little tool, so that when we use Vim, it just shows what I'm typing here. Cool. Hey Red, welcome. So yeah, blacklist is logout. We're blacklisting an access. No, we're blacklisting a refresh token, not an access token. We are blacklisting a refresh token so that it cannot be used to gain more access tokens. Turns out you can't really, yeah, it was harsh. Thanks for the suggestion. So turns out you can't really blacklist an access token because I don't know why it's an active session. Yeah, it's an active session. Turns out it's like complicated. So we blacklist or invalidate refresh tokens instead, so that they cannot be used to gain, to like refresh access tokens. And access tokens, the lifetime, I think it was like an hour or 5 minutes. I don't know. We'll see. We can even change that. So the access token lifetime is super short. We're talking about, 5 minutes to an hour. The refresh token can be a day or 7 days, etc. So if you kill the refresh token, once the access token, expires, that's it. The user is basically logged out. So that's blacklisting, and register is just a register. So all of these, like these three, came from the actual simple JVT plugin. The only thing that I needed to do is the register. Okay, so I didn't implement this thing. I just imported those views, the obtain per view and refresh view and blacklist view from the actual library. And the only thing that I did is just the, do the register, which looks like this. We have a post here. Let me know if you want me to zoom in more on the code. But yeah, here's the post. We get the username and password. We try to get the tokens, the refresh and access. That's basically the login. So there's an auth command that we invoke register on it. We have logout, but we don't even need this right now. There we go. So just a leftover from before. We try to get the user from the user's repository with this username. If it doesn't exist, then, if it exists, we cannot really register. Then we do the user, we create the user, and then we invoke the token service, which is a new thing that I did. And the token service sits in infra service token, and there we go. Or I can even make it simple and just let's actually do this. Yeah, I'm gonna remove token here, and I'll just do token dot service dot py. Let's do that then. Cool, there we go. Let me actually go back now and update this. Oh yeah, we might not be able to use dots in the names. Infra service. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to use dots, just like we did in JavaScript. So I'm gonna use an underscore service dot. There we go. So now it is recognized. Cool. Okay, so this is the token service. It creates, we have two methods, create for user and blacklist, right? So create for user is login and register as well. And we just use the refresh token class that comes from the simple JVT, pass it a user, and it's just going to return us the tokens, right? Plain and simple. And then we return a dictionary with those two. And the blacklist is just recreate the token from the refresh token string and then just blacklist it. That's it. And this basically communicates with the database as well. But yeah, that's register, create the user, create the tokens for that user, and then return the tokens. We don't need the user, right? So if we go here in the Beekeeper Studio, I'm gonna move it here, get into the millionaire. Oh, of course it's not up. Let's go here, Docker Compose up. We do have Docker running, cool. Okay, if we go here, we're gonna see that we also have these two. We have the token blacklisted token and token outstanding token. I think outstanding are tokens that are not expired yet, maybe. No, this is definitely expired. But yeah, this is from the 30th. So that was the Sunday. No, that was the Saturday when I actually did some coding. And it expired on the 1st. So that would be, let's see, that would be like 24 hours maybe? Yeah, 24 hours, 1 day. That's the outstanding token. And blacklisted tokens are the ones that, when you click logout explicitly, you blacklist the token. So let's go to Rapid API and basically obtain a token, or you know what, I'm just gonna rename this to login, refresh, register, and logout. If we do, let's see what users we have at the moment. There we go. We have millionaire stream, another user, brand new. Let's use stream because it's already set there. Stream with password. If I hit go, come on now, what is this? Oh, /auth/token. I guess we changed that. We're not even running this. Ugh. Oh, and by the way, I actually made it possible to debug Django line by line. So we're actually gonna look into that as well. It's gonna be pretty cool. All right, so Python, let me just make sure that I am in the virtual environment. Yes, I am. So Python manage run server. And I'm just gonna run it. I'm not gonna debug it this time. And there we go. When we hit /all/token, we get this back. We have the refresh token, and we save this into the cookies in the client, the browser, and we also have the access token, and we add the access token there, right? So there we go. We are logged in with this access token. We are going to we're gonna set it as a cookie as well. So when we send requests to the server, the simple JVT plugin is going to check this access token, see if it's valid, or if it's not expired or blacklisted. It's gonna let us do the thing. If not, it's gonna say 402, 403. I have to look into that. But yeah, this is basically what we get. We get the refresh and we get the access. So if I copy the refresh and go to refresh token and paste that here, this is going to return us a new access token, right? So this one, the old one, is not valid anymore. I think it's not valid anymore. This one is the new one, right? So we'll just use this one. And in case we send an API request, let me actually draw this. In case we have a browser, actually not like this, but a client. There we go. We have a client. What is going on? It's like in dark mode. Okay, that's weird, but yeah, this is a laptop, and we have a server, or let's just use Django. When these two communicate, right, we'll send the requests first to Django, and then Django returns an expired token, like claiming that the token is expired. We need numbers as well, just so I can like explain this. This is gonna be number 2. Come on now. First we send the requests. Django returns it is expired. And then for the third time, we are going to send the requests to Django to refresh our token, right? And Django is going to return the new token. And then we are going to basically retry the original request again. So this is basically, I drew it terribly, but yeah, this is basically the flow that's going to happen, right? We send the request to our API. The API says your token is expired. We'll say, okay, wait up, refresh the token using the refresh token that we have, and that if that one is expired, then we'll just redirect to login. But if it's not, we'll just get a new refresh token, and then we're going to retry this original request. So that's what's going to happen with this API route. And then of course we have the register, and now the register doesn't return a user, it just returns the refresh token and access token so that we can immediately save them and, you know, be logged in. So we don't do register and then move over to login and then move over to the application. We'll just, from register, we'll jump straight into the application. And then of course we have the logout, and we need a refresh token for that. So I'm just gonna grab this refresh token here, pass it on here, and hit next. It returns an empty array. It's like 200. Okay. So that's it. That's basically logout. And we can see this in the blacklisted token. So we had one. If I refresh, we'll see this. There we go, 2nd of December. We'll see this new one. And of course, it has like a token ID. Cool. So that's basically the authentication. We have it working now, and everything is fine, right? Now, let's get into the domain modeling. Let's talk about the very nice flow. Yeah, I mean, that's standard. Let's talk about the application first. So I also did some thinking about like how I think we should approach this application, and like instead of logging in with, you know, LinkedIn, we could do that down the road as well, and comparing your LinkedIn profile against job listings. I was thinking something like this. Let's throw like steps here. First we'll do create a profile, okay? And this profile is going to include a lot of things. So it's going to include your information, like your name, your email, your phone number, location, whatever it is, right? And also your job history. And I need to actually get this here. We have the name. We're gonna need these for the modeling. Location, phone, email, right? Description. You know, like basically LinkedIn, we're just gonna open LinkedIn and just try to scrape what type of informations are there. So this is for you, for your profile. And then after that, we're gonna do the experience, right? So we're gonna do fill in professional experience. And this would include roles at companies, right? I'm actually going to do this. That would include the company name, start date when you started working there, an optional end date because you still might be working there, right? So we'll just put a little question mark there. We are gonna do, let's actually open LinkedIn and, you know, just see what's there. There we go. So name, a little like headline. We might have that. We might not have that. Doesn't matter. And then we have the experience here, right? So we have the title, of course, the position, the title. But the position is going to be tied with a start and end date and a company name, right? So if you get promoted, it's like a different position, right? What else? Location, job type, if we need it, you know, if we need that. Let's put it in. Location, it's not job type, it's like a work type, right? Let's see. If I edit this one, it was employment type, full-time, etc., etc. Okay, cool. Let's get that in as well. Employment type. What else do we have? We have the company, the start and the end. Location type. Okay, yeah, let's add that one as well. You know, location. remote or hybrid or on-site. Main task at you're working on. Yeah, like what is the like a little description, basically a description of what you're working on, and we'll also have the skills. So let's do that. Skills, and we're gonna figure out what skills are next. And all of this is going to be basically the user is going to manually input this for the MVP version, because you know we don't want to go wild and implement LinkedIn and stuff like that. We might do that down the road, so it's easier, you know, to just like log in with LinkedIn. That's going to create a profile and also fill in your professional experience and try to map out the LinkedIn information with these. This is why we're looking at LinkedIn, so that we can, you know, do that. And you know, we have the skills, and you also said the main task you're working on, and I would say that would be like a description, you know, like a long paragraph description of what, you know, what you did there, like in plain words, right? It's like this. Cool. And LinkedIn also have this, yeah, there's a description. Headline doesn't matter. LinkedIn needs the headline. We don't need this in our application, you know, because that's not the point. We have the skills. We're gonna parse them, and there's also media. We could, like, you know, get some links going on, some stuff like that. Yeah, let's do that. And like links to resources, right? It's important to keep these because I want to check this out. I want to actually, you know, instead of comparing your CV against like job applications, I'm thinking, why don't we like build up a profile first? Tell me everything you've worked with, everywhere you've worked with, your positions and everything. And then instead of doing the resume against job listing, why don't we just like generate a resume instead, right? And leave that to the user to update. So that's, I think we should take that approach. At least, you know, it makes more sense. It just makes more sense to me. Like you have a full profile that includes everything, right? You might have, you know, we're gonna do this tech only, but what if you worked, like what if you didn't start your career in tech, you know, like out of school or at like 18, I don't know. Maybe you've worked in other fields, in other industries, now you're in tech. If you're applying for a front-end job, you can pick whether you want to include working in, you know, like non-related fields than the job the job you're applying for. So I think that's how we should approach this. I think it's gonna be like easier, you know, easier to develop, easier to have, like just have all of the data, like professional data for that user, which again, we can just like say log in with LinkedIn, pull all of that public data, and that's it. And basically create resumes for specific job listings, right? So when a job listing comes up, whether we scrape it or let the user punch the URL in, we're gonna scrape it, we are going to parse it, and we are going to just basically extract all of the requirements out of the job listing, and then we are going to, of course, save it into in the database, because someone else might want to do the same thing for the same position. Extract it, save it into the database, and then use AI to, and we'll see how that's, you know, how that's gonna go. We'll use AI to get the user data, the professional data, and cherry pick which of those things are relevant for this job, listing. Put the most relevant stuff at the bottom, the still relevant but least relevant stuff at the of course, yeah, top and bottom. You get the gist, and like generate some, I don't know, some descriptions for them, right? We did add the description here. There it is. This one is, of course, we can get some LLM action going on to generate that description, like what you did, what you worked on, etc. There could be a little chatbot there that, you know, you talk with, and it asks you questions like, what did you work on? Like, give me like the top three most interesting projects that you worked on, etc. So it's going to be like, you know, it's going to be like that. There can be a chatbot that collects all of the users, you know, professional data, builds up the profile, and then when we want to apply at a specific job listing, we'll use AI to generate a resume instead of, you know, instead of going the other way. Like, I have a resume, let's optimize it with AI first and then compare it, you know. Yeah. So after we do this, we fill in the professional experience. Let's see, I feel like the LinkedIn integration could be part of the MVP. Then you don't have to implement the forms, etc. Yeah, we're still gonna need the forms, I think. Just in case someone else, you know, someone doesn't use LinkedIn, or their LinkedIn is not complete, or they don't maintain it. We do need like, our method of data entry should be forms mainly, and LinkedIn should just be like a simple shortcut, but it shouldn't be the main thing, you know. So we are gonna build the forms anyways. LinkedIn is just gonna, like, it's gonna be like a quality of life feature, but not like a main feature. But yeah, we'll do this. We'll fill in the professional experience, and then after we do this, we are going to, actually, why did I do this? Okay, I could have just clicked the plus button. There we go. Then we are going to optimize profile for specific job listing. Okay. Digital Alchemist says, what about an automated flow to read your resume and input the forms, like how it works on Indeed and Monster and a few others? I haven't tried those, but we can look into that. Like, instead of manually punching in everything, you have the opportunity to, of course, do the LinkedIn route, or maybe like upload a PDF, and then we'll scan the PDF and try to populate as much as we can, so that, you know, so that we basically make this as short as possible, because that's gonna be like the feature, you know. That's gonna be the feature. If this is a painful process, then people won't, you know, they won't bother using it. I wouldn't go and, you know, fill in all of that data with, you know, projects and descriptions and stuff for an application that I haven't even seen how it works. So this should be as fast as possible. But yeah, we'll build the most basic way first, forms, and then we'll build those other features, like, you know, upload a PDF or log in with LinkedIn or link your LinkedIn profile so that we can pull those information out. But yeah, when we do this, we optimize the profile for a specific job listing, or not optimize, but like generate, probably. Generate a resume for a specific job listing. Yeah, people are lazy. Yeah. Yeah, but then we get a job listing, we'll parse it, and we are going to generate a resume for that specific job listing, and we'll put it out there, and the user will be able to modify it, right? It's gonna be like a draft in draft state. So let me actually write that down as well. Let's say generate a resume. Resume in draft state. User can modify it before exporting it as PDF. Okay. And of course, this is where the monetization happens, right? Or like before here, right? There's gonna be like tokens and stuff, right? because we are gonna spend money, like real money, to AI. We are gonna monetize, like add the monetization here. So I'm just gonna like add a little arrow. It's gonna be dashed. I'm just gonna say monetization happens here, just so we have the idea of where that is. There we go. Nice. Monetization happens here at this point, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If the user has has enough tokens, maybe one token equals one generation, etc. Yeah, put it into draft state. User can modify it before exporting it as a PDF. And what else? We could, since we want to build our own models, we could keep track of which CV worked, right? Like mark it as a CV. Like if you get hired with that resume, mark it as such, so that we can have like a working example, like an example of what works, of what the resumes should be, so that we can update our ML models so that they can we can maximize the output of CVs that work, right? So that's gonna be the feature. Mark it as, how should we name this now? Mark it as let's just say hired, right? Mark it as hired, so we can optimize ML models later. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to share this link. This is like a public link. Everything we do, we put things here. Processed or published. Yeah, that's the state. The draft state. Let's actually do that. Published draft, or ... We'll figure that out later. Another feature could be to allow other users see resumes that work, anonymized versions. True, that can be like a really cool feature. Like the winning resumes, but they're gonna be anonymized, and we'll make sure that we can generate those. That can be like a toggle. That can be a feature on the resume itself, which will be tied to a job listing. But yeah, cool. That's basically the MVP of the application. Right now, I am thinking small. I'm thinking like a simple tool that... Wait, what? We lost that monetization thingy. That can definitely be a pro tier. I can see your cursor live and your edits live. Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. Monetization happens here. Okay, let's bring this back now. There we go. But yeah, this is how... Oh, there we go. Well, it's not so cool now, is it? Yeah, this is how I'm thinking about the app. Just like a simple tool that I can use to... Like, I can use once. No subscriptions. People are tired of subscriptions. Pay me $10 a month and I'll give you this tool. There's no need. Once I get hired, I don't give a damn about this application, right? So this should be like a token based, right? Like a coin based, like a standard arcade. You add the coin, you play. That's it. That's like the cheapest thing that's the cheapest way that we can make this work for everyone. So yeah, that's gonna be it. And we're gonna have like a lot of this data. We can scale this nicely later. Like we can do bulk stuff if desperate times call for desperate measures, like bulk generate a whole bunch of resumes for like 15 to 20 job listings and just like send them out at once, etc. We'll see. We can even like get some trends going on, because we are going to be looking and parsing job listings. We can get some trends going on, like we can build like a machine learning model that looks into the frequencies of technologies that appear in the job listing. So we can say like, hey, React is definitely on the rise, or we're seeing less and less React and more Vue. So we can publish those results later on, or maybe that can be like a pro tier thingy that is put behind a subscription, and you'll have all of this data on the job listings and the market and etc. But yeah, right now that's like super down the road. But right now, I think the application should just be these 3 steps. They're not simple, but these 3 steps: create a profile, fill in your professional experience so that you can build a rich profile. You can give us as much information as possible, and then when you want to apply, give me a job listing. Right, we're going to parse that job listing, and we're going to try to use the relevant bits of your professional experience and a bunch of AI stuff to generate I don't know, as optimized as we can CV resume. So yeah. True, we can also monetize it from the employer side, like describe a job and get a good candidate list. Exactly. Yeah, it can totally work on the other way, because we'll have the data here, right? And the candidates, the profiles, they're not going to be public. You can see a profile only if it's yours. That's it. Well, we could monetize it from that side. Like someone can just type in, I'm looking for this type of person that does this, that does that, like have that many years of experience in this technology, etc. And then we can parse that and basically return a list of candidates that could be good. So yeah, definitely on the other side as well, anything works. The idea is to have the data here, and then of course see which wires we can connect together. Digital. I'm also working on a job board platform, and that's the biggest struggle, figuring out how to monetize it effectively. Yeah. I mean, I did think about this, and I think like I want to attempt to build something that's not on a subscription, because I'm tired of subscriptions, like, nah, I miss the days where I can just go and buy a CD and that's it. You buy a CD, you take your CD home, you put it into the CD tray, you punch it in, and you install it, and that's it. You have the program. Yeah. Let's try to do that. Let's give try our hand to build something nostalgic and refreshing. So yeah, what do you think about this? I think this is going to be like a really good, and it's yours. That's it. Yeah. I'm also at a startup which involves with candidate ranking solution from resumes. There we go. Yeah. See, a lot of people are working on this, and I think it's going to be like a really cool experiment, to try it. Again, this could become something, or maybe not. That's why I'm approaching it more lax. Like the idea is to learn a bunch of things, but I also want to set up monetization. Maybe I will become a millionaire. We'll see. Maybe it's not a joke after all, but that's gonna be like down the road. First and foremost, yeah, build an app, do some DDD, do some architecture stuff, do some proper coding and think about all the, you know, extra, not extra, but like all of the use cases. Try to produce a beautiful piece of software that solves a real problem first, and then we'll see if we if we're on our way to become millionaires or not. Okay. All right, so this is basically, let me actually put a title on this. MVP not feature flow, but like user flow. Let's call it like this, right? This is going to be that. This is going to be the MVP user flow. We start off with a profile. Of course, people are gonna log in later on, and then just repeat this, basically the last step. Repeat the last step for multiple job listings. Yeah, and like buy credits. You know, I don't know, $5, 5 credits, or 50 credits. I have no idea how they scale and how much credits we're gonna need, but they're gonna be something like that we can also incorporate and, you know, build in all of the guards in place, like, you know, software guards that will prevent the users from, you know, skipping this part right here and just using the application. That's going to be an interesting, you know, an interesting way to like build in the security as well. So yeah, I know it's a very challenging endeavor, and as we've been stuck since 8 months and we haven't found built a good ranking solution, it's too funny. Yeah, maybe we'll get to that point as well. We'll see. Alberto, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Use cursor agents to build this. Cursor agents, what are those? Cursor agents. Like the IDE cursor? Are making GitHub Copilot. Nice. Cursor has released agents in the 0.43 update. With this, it can pick up context on its own. Use the terminal and complete tasks with full autonomy using only a single prompt. Nice. We can totally look into this. Cursor agents. There we go. 24th of November. That's like last week. New Composer UI agent. An agent in Composer that can pick up its own context and use terminal. Yeah. Cool. Like this can be deployed, you're saying? We can have like a functional agent somewhere, and we can like that's gonna be cool. Yeah, and also the idea is that we self-host ML models and stuff like that, which I think, judging by the small research that I've done so far, that's going to be quite the challenge. Self-hosting machine learning models. Okay, I'm going to add this in the document here. Okay, there we go. We did that. We need a new to-do. Let's see. Interesting resources. Cursor agents. I'm just gonna put it here so that we can do some research later. The POC right now is authentication. We're not gonna do file upload just yet. We could, but you know, that can be our first AI feature. Upload your existing CV and we'll use AI to like extract the whole thing. Yeah, we are gonna need a pretty beefy rig if you wanna self-host. All right, yeah. So let's get into. I'm gonna remove this. Let's do some modeling now. You know, try to extract entities and value objects and aggregates and aggregate roots and everything out of this flow, so that we can on Wednesday, so we can get that and start to build, you know, the models in Django. All right, so I also shared this video, but I'm also gonna put it into the document as well in the interesting resources, because we're going to be basically doing this. Command V is paste. All right, this is something's happening here. Something is definitely happening. Yeah. Do not embed it. I just want it as like a text. There's no way. Okay. Well, let's try just this. Building domain modeling tutorial. And I'm going to add a link to this so that it doesn't embed it. There we go. All right, so yeah, we are going to basically going to look into this video, and we'll try to replicate Amichai's flow, the workflow. So in this tutorial, he's working on like a dinner application where you as a user, you can host dinner, say, you know, like the title, etc., what's planned, when, who's coming, invite your friends, and there's also like bills for everyone to pay after, you know, afterwards or before. And that's basically the application, and he's going through the all of the, you know, all of the entities, I would say, not entities in domain driven design sense, but like all of the concepts, and he's creating entities and value objects, etc. So a quick refresher, I'm still pretty new to DDD. I still haven't finished the actual book, but entities are things that are identifiable, that have an ID and can be referenced. So that's going to be like a user, that's going to be like a company, maybe, you know, in our case, it's going to be a job, a specific job listing, right? Because it is a unique, it's unique, etc. So those are entities, things that can be or are unique and identifiable. And on the other hand, value objects do not have an ID. They represent some data. They are like a data shape, but they don't have an ID. And that would be an address for the user, right? A location for the user. That would also be, what else? Skills are going to be, let's see, let's go back here. Yeah, location type, right? It's like it's literally an enum. The date, the company name will have a company, and we are going to do this just in case, you know, I don't know, just in case. We're not going to be querying companies by any means. They're going to be just there, and that's it. But yeah. So those are the two different things that we're going to be working with: entities and value objects, right? The idea is to create, basically create all of the entities and value objects, and then we're going to create the aggregates and do like a really cool, there we go. For example, this is like a dinner aggregate, which an aggregate holds multiple entities and value objects to describe something, right? So this would be a dinner aggregate. The dinner aggregate contains that specific dinner, contains a list of the reservations for that dinner, right? And the reservations are like users. Yes, I posted in the earlier in the chat, but here it is again. For those of you who joined a bit later, I'm not gonna play this. I'm just gonna learn, you know, and try to replicate what Amichai did in this video, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So we're just going to do this, and this is what, you know, this is basically the JSON on the right here. Yeah. Right, so the dinner has location, it has a price, there's a dinner ID that points to the dinner, menu ID, what is on the menu. I know, yeah. I'm gonna learn this along with, you know, along with all of you. So this is going to be fun. As I mentioned, like, I'm doing this for the first time, but I'm really looking forward because it looks like a really cool exercise, or, you know, activity that you do before you dive into the code and, you know, do start, you know, putting code and then refactor later on. So yeah, that's the general idea. Parse says explore llama parse and omniparse for unstructured for PDF dealing. Let me just add these for later. Resources, you say llama parse or omniparse or unstructured for PDF parsing or dealing. Cool, thank you. We're definitely gonna check these out. Okay, back to the video. We basically collect, or just think about our application and create these, you know, cards. Value objects are green, entities are blue, and aggregates are red. And what Amichai later does, these are the aggregates. What Amichai later does is, there we go. There are some rules as well, and we can take a look at that, and we can also, you know, use the robot to help us. This is one video. Aggregate rules reference other aggregates by ID. Okay, changes are committed and rolled back as a whole. Basically, there's a transaction boundary inside of aggregates, right? So if we have an aggregate, he uses the aggregate of dinner, right, of his application, and for a specific dinner, you gotta have a host, and you gotta have a menu and a bunch of reservations, etc. So if you want to make a change to the dinner, you're making the changes on the aggregate, and if something breaks, like you can't update a reservation, or Joe, welcome. If you can't update a reservation, or you can't, you know, just like modify anything from you know, something from within the, and that something has to be an entity. If you can update the entity inside of the aggregate, none of those changes should be applied. So they need to be rolled back. Classic DB transactions, right? Really important thing. And yeah, the changes to the aggregate are done via the root. Nice. The modeling steps define each of the entities. Define each of the entities is an aggregate. So we're going to have a bunch of entities, but not all of them are going to be aggregate roots. Merge aggregates to enforce invariance. Can see invariance. Invariance merge aggregates that cannot tolerate eventual consistency, and that means because changes in one aggregate will most likely show up in a different one. Those changes are being done through events, something called events. I don't know. We'll see about that later, but that's the eventual consistency. Like aggregate B is going to get updated eventually after aggregate A gets updated. But yeah. Okay, so this is the first video, and this is the one where he does the exercise, where there's like stuff involved. Tutorial. I'm just gonna say one domain modeling tutorial 2. There we go. Is this Command K? Yes, it is Command K. There we go. And there's a second tutorial, and I'm also going to paste it in the chat so all of you can have access to this link. But basically what's going on here is Amichai is going through and figuring out the relationships between all of the entities. I feel like before we get into this, we need to go and create those entities. These, right? So these are the entities from his application, right? A dinner reservation that has a dinner, of course, that has a host, guests, a user, which can be either a host or a guest, a menu reservation, the bill, or multiple bills if they're splitting, the menu review, so you can like add a review on that dinner, you liked it or you didn't, and guest rating as well, right? So these are the entities, the identifiable, I'm struggling for a name, but yeah, the identifiable things in his application. So let's go ahead and try to come up with the entities from our application, right? So we're gonna do it here, but we're gonna need a lot of space eventually. So I'm gonna create a legend first. This is going to be an entity, and it's not going to be extra large, just medium, and it's going to be blue. So here's the entity. This is going to be a value object. The value object is going to be green. Again, this is in the video. I'm just doing what Amichai is doing. And then we have an aggregate root, an aggregate, and the aggregate was red. We'll see that later. But these are basically, I think these can be smaller actually. Yeah, these are the 3 tools that we're going to use to model our application, and that's basically going to model our database as well, right? So we know that we are going to have users always, like that is the first entity, right? We have users, they are identifiable, they have emails, and there can be only one user with that email, right? First entity down. Let's take a break now. First entity down. Whew. Now, the user is going to, we'll define the user later, like using value objects, we can define, you know, the name, the location, the phone, etc. Or maybe we should do that even now. Like, okay, let's do that. Let's try to really define the user. It's going to have a name. These should be even smaller. There we go. This is the smallest that we can do. We have a name. We have a location. We'll see about the types. Phone, important for a resume. You gotta put a phone there, and an email. And we also added a description, but that's going to be for the profile. Okay, that's gonna be for the profile, and the profile, how should we do this? In some databases, like in some applications, there's an entity of user so that it can handle authentication, identification, but there's also an entity of profile which holds extra information or details about that user, right? The profile picture, name, because you can change it, you know, stuff like that. Oh, and by the way, these things, the value objects are immutable. Let me see. I had a brief talk with GPT, with the robot. I'm practicing DDD in Python. How can value objects be presented in Python? With data classes, we'll do that. And then, yeah, set frozen to true because to make it immutable. Value objects are immutable. Basically, you can't change the value objects. Why not keep it all in the user entity unless a user has many profiles? Yeah, that's what we're, you know, thinking about right now. Do we want to, you know, just keep them as separate things. But most likely we will, just embed the profile inside. So we'll have the name, we have the location, the phone, the email, the little description, and that description is basically, the LinkedIn description at the top. Where was that? Yeah, the about section, basically, right? Yeah, that's the about section. Let's put it there. Let's put it as part of the user. That means we are gonna go back and extend the built-in user that comes with Django. So I think we need to pull in a class of abstract user and extend that one and somehow register it. We'll see. But yeah, email and then about. Let's just, keep it as about. There we go. Okay, so this is the user. I would keep it separate since the user can be the same in all applications, whereas some applications do not even have a profile. When I'm thinking about like a profile, I'm only thinking about that top part on the resume where it has your information and your about. But maybe the about. Yeah, maybe you're actually right. If I'm applying for, let's say I'm a full stack engineer, and if I'm applying for a front end, I would have one about. But if I'm applying for a backend, I would have a different about, right? Where I'm basically reflecting more backend stuff in the backend application. So this would be different. Email, phone, location, name, that can change, of course, but it doesn't mean that, we need a new profile. But the about, this thing can change based on the job listing. So maybe this is not going to be part of the user. Maybe this, maybe it'll turn out that this is going to be part of the of a different entity. Okay, I'm just gonna put it down here because we don't know where to put this. It might be better if we keep it at an application level, right? Okay, so we have the user, and then the user has a bunch of roles at a bunch of companies, right? Let's see. Those are not identifiable, I would say. Or are they? Or I think they are going to be, right? Because if we're generating, let's see, if we're generating a CV, if we're generating a resume, and we're cherry picking professional experiences, so to keep the CV not super long with irrelevant stuff, but like short and to the point, that means we need to filter out individual professional experiences. So are they identifiable? Can I refer a specific experience? I think we should. Let's actually go this way. Let's start the application entity. Oh, thank you, Harsh. Yeah, 10K subs. Wouldn't do it without you. Thank you all. Yeah, that was a milestone. All right, so we have the application here, and the application, and this is pretty cool. Like what Amichai does is the application has a user, and he puts it like this. But we'll see. Yeah, thanks, Joe. We have an application. We have a user. We started doing this, and I believe I think we should do this later. It's cool to have this, but the exercise will actually do that. Like we're gonna create a bunch of value objects under specific entities and mark some of those entities as like root entities after we figure out the relationship between the entities. Yeah, thank you, Cinematic. Huge things are happening. Okay, we have users. We have applications, right? We also have, let's fly through this. We also have, let's see, listings, job listings, right? Job, there we go, job listing, because we are going to parse it. I don't know what is going to have, but we gotta keep track of the job listings, and they don't change, by the way, right? When a job listing is created, we're gonna use that thing, llama parse, for example. We're gonna use llama parse to parse it out, and we'll keep all of the things in the database so that the next user, when they use the same job listing, like a different person trying to, apply to the same job on the same position, it's going to be super fast because we already have that in the database. So job listing will be persisted. It is something that we're going to refer to, right? The application will sit between the user and a job listing. But yeah, George asks, sorry if this is unanswered. I tuned in recently. Is this particular part called the data modeling? Does the full stack backend or other developer usually do this, or a data engineer, or maybe blend? Honestly, I have no idea. Right now, it's a one-man show, so I'm gonna be doing everything. But who does this? I don't know. It is part of the domain, so it is something that is not done by one person, but it has to be done by both engineers and also domain experts, right? It's like in a classic scenario where you have like teams of engineers working on products. They're not all experts in those products, right? Especially if you're working on, like, I don't know, some products that are in some part of industry, right? I mean, not like Instagram, but let's say you're working on an accounting software, and you're an engineer, you're not an accountant. So this part would be done with accountants, right? The data modeling and defining the domains and describing the domains and entities and stuff like that. This would be an exercise or an activity performed by both engineers and also domain experts, right? That's the thing. And domain-driven design is like a set of rules or a set of nomenclature for the specific things within the application. So when we talk about users as engineers, and when accountants, let's say, talk about users, we refer to the same thing, right? Because a lot of the terminology in like in engineering worlds, in the engineering world can exist in the, like, outside of the engineering world, in the accountant world, and it might be something totally, like totally different. So yeah, this is going to be between the experts and like domain experts and engineers as well. Yeah, like for example, DB transactions. If we're talking about transactions as engineers, we know what we're talking about, right? We're going to create a transaction and we're going to like append a bunch of queries to that transaction, so that if one query fails, we revert the whole thing, right? An important aspect of aggregates, I think. Yeah, aggregates. So if you say a transaction to an accountant, they're gonna think about money transaction. And our application, have both money transactions that we need to keep track of, but we also have the terminology of transaction when we're talking about database transactions, right? So DDD basically says, okay, this is the nomenclature, these are the names, these are the domains, we're gonna call this by this name and this by this name, so that there's not gonna be any confusion, right? Like DDD is a communication tool, but you can, it expands a little bit into like engineering as well with these things, like these exercises. Yeah, that's how much I know until this point. I'm not an expert in this, I'm learning this along with you. So yeah, there we go. Users, applications, and job listings. When you create different apps, then the user table could be the same in all. True. if it only creates the auth specific things. Email, password might make some code more reusable. That's what Django does basically. The user has a username and password. And I think it has an email as well. Let me check. This is the default user that comes, built in with Django. There's a password, last login, is it super user, the username, first and last name. There we go. We already have that. Email, is it staff account? Is it active? And what is the date that the user joins? Ever done TDD? I'll be interested to watch some content. I actually been getting decent use out of the clean architecture series. Yeah, I mean, clean architecture wasn't TDD, but there was like a lot of testing in there. I haven't done like a proper TDD yet. Yeah. But you gotta have like a totally different approach to building software in order to set yourself up for TDD. Maybe this can be it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Because we'll have the logic, we'll have the domains, we'll have we'll have defined what needs to happen. So might as well just, write some code, not have any UI at all, and just, write the tests first and then try to, achieve the functionality. That can be fun, yeah. Yeah, this project is going to be a playground. Could even try doing some TDD stuff as well. All right, cool. What is next? We have users, we have applications, and job listings. These are like the three biggest entities, because that's what's going to happen. Users are going to log in. They're going to find job listings, and they're going to create applications using AI. They're going to create applications for those specific job listings. From like a bird's perspective, these are the three main features or three main entities. But we have some more. We have let's see, we have a position, and this position, let's see, I'm gonna draw it here below. This position will have a company, right? What is the company that you've worked as a front-end engineer at? It will have a title, your actual position. We'll see if this is an entity or not. It will have start date, an optional end date, and we'll put that question mark there. An optional end date, because you might still be there at that position. What else do we have? Location, basically all of those little bullets that we created here. I'm just gonna make this closer so that we can, be more efficient. We have the location, which could be like multiple locations, but there's gonna be like an HQ location. Location type, we said location type. Remote. Yeah, what were those two things? Oh yeah, there's like a digital, there's like a little lag between the stream and what I'm actually doing. So I think there's like 2 or 3 seconds. Let's go back and see what was the location type. The employment type is like full-time, part-time, etc. And location type was hybrid or on-site or remote. Yeah. And you can see that I'm doing, like, I'm creating these as like value objects because they're not identifiable. Yeah. Location type is here. Then we have the employment type. And now we are starting to run out of space. Let me just make some more space. Push these here. Okay, these over here. We have the employment type. We have these skills, which is going to be like an array of skills. And we need to see if that is, I think that should be an entity as well. because React is React, and a lot of people will have React in their, in their profiles. So if we want to enable that feature, I don't know who mentioned that. Let's see. Someone mentioned that, I think it was IMU or Red Flake. I don't know. Someone asked, like, you can even monetize it from the other side. Like, give me all of the React engineers that are, like looking for a job or something like that. We could even, if we wanted to do that, then we need to have skills, like each of the skills be an entity so that they can be identifiable, and then we can get users according to the skills. So there it is, we'll just add, I'm going to delete this one. I'm actually going to use a smaller square description. We have the description, and again, like links to resources. I'm just going to keep it resources. No. Resources. There we go. I'm still learning the damn keyboard. All right. I'm not putting in the skills just yet, but for the position, I feel like this is okay. So I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna create one for the skill. And I guess we'll just have a name, unless we want to somehow, oh, let me zoom in. Unless we want to like somehow categorize them later, backend, frontend, etc. I'll see. Yeah. Right now, let's just keep a name or like a label. It's not a name. It can be an activity, right? Skill, I don't know, refactoring. So label. What else do we have here? I will put the about in the application here. What else do we have here? Links to resources, etc. The resume. Oh yeah, resumes as well. It's going to be an entity, and very important. There's an application. So we have an application, but the application will produce a resume. So the application will be converted into a PDF, into a resume. I guess these are the two, like the same things, right? Let's just call this a resume. Because yeah, basically the tool is gonna do that. It's not gonna apply to the job listing. You're gonna do the application, right? You're gonna be doing the application yourself. This is just going to open or start a new resume for that job listing. So we're not gonna call this application. Resume is just fine. So that's gonna be it. Okay. So far so good. Yeah. Now let's see how and this is according to this activity that Amichai explains in this video. We're gonna see how the relationships, we're gonna see the relationship between all of these entities, right? So I'm gonna get all of the entities here. Oh, not like this, but like this. And we're going to see, we're just gonna be like drawing these and like pulling these below each of the entities. And I think that's how we can identify which of the entities are going to be aggregate roots, right? So far, we have entities and we have value objects, right? Value objects are just values. They can be more complex than like primitive values. They're, about is a string, name is a string, location as well. This is gonna be like first name and last name, but that's the name. But they don't have any identification, right? There can be, and there are multiple people named Lazar Nikolov. If you're not from where I am from, it might be a unique name, but just in my hometown alone, there are like 7 people called Lazar Nikolov. So yeah, that is a value object, right? It's not unique, identifiable, that belongs to one person or thing only. So we have these. Now let's figure out which of these are going to be the aggregate roots or aggregates. let's start with the user, or maybe we should end with the user. We should probably start with the resume, right? When we have a resume, we know that that resume belongs to a user, and it is for a specific job listing, right? That's the resume. I'm from Macedonia. I don't live in Macedonia since like 2 years ago, but I am from Macedonia. Right, so the resume has a user and a job listing, right? The user has basically nothing. I mean, of course, not nothing. The user has a bunch of resumes. The user has a bunch of skills as well, right? And I can even like do this to indicate that there are multiples of these. Let's say, there we go, something like this. The what else? Job listings. We don't need to put them here because the user does not have job listings, right? There are positions as well, in the positions where the user worked, or like the user worked at specific companies on specific positions. So let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna add position here. Cool. There we go. Multiples. So multiple positions, multiple resumes, and multiple skills. That's the user. The resume, I think it only has a user and a job listing, right? It doesn't have anything else. Oh yeah, it did have that. Hold on. It did have that about, not the resume, the about thingy we discussed. That's a value object. Yes, it does have something extra, right? And we're gonna generate this. This is like the thing that's on top of your resume, right? That's on top of your resume. That's the first thing that the hiring manager would, read. So it should be custom tailored to a specific, job listing or a specific resume. So that's gonna be here. Then we have a job listing. The job listing will have a bunch of resumes attached to it, or like not attached in the database, but just there's gonna be a bunch of resumes that have been generated for that job listing. Basically, we might not have this as in the database. We'll figure it out later how the database is gonna be, but this is basically that. The job listing has a bunch of resumes, right? The resume has the user, so we don't need to add the user here. And what else? And the job listing and the resume has the about. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. We have the skill. Let's put user under this skill and make it multiple. A lot of people can have React and Node.js and Django as their, as their skill. So let's just keep track of that. Why not? We might use it down the road. Those skills, and yeah. And we have position. And this is like super. Yeah, position might actually become a value object instead of an actual entity, because as you can see, it has no relationship. It's being used here, but it doesn't point to anything on its own, right? I'm gonna try to watch this video using the. You watch the previous video. Encourage you to pause the video and take a look. And the aggregates. laying out all the various entities. The second step is taking each one of them and looking at its relationship with the other entities. Yeah. Yeah, we started to draw some stuff. Let's put the menu. Yeah, for each menu there's a host, multiple dinners, menu reviews. Then there's a dinner. The dinner has a host. It has a menu, a single menu, multiple guests. Or actually reservations, because the reservation holds the guest's information. Rather than a collection of reservations, where the reservation basically also has the guests and also the guest count, right? Because if you're a guest and you're reserving a spot, you're reserving for one or more places. So it's not exactly a native guest, but it's more of, you know, okay, cool. Like you can make a reservation for 5 people under your name. So it's not 5 guests, it's one reservation with 5 guest counts. Okay. There we go. So like after he does all of this, there we go. We can have as many aggregates as possible, because remember, each aggregate is a transactional boundary, meaning that if you have bigger aggregates, it means that every time you want to make a change to the aggregate, you need to load the entire thing, make a single change, and then commit the entire change. Which means if you want to do multiple changes to the same algorithm in the same time, you start having concurrency issues, so that we want to have as many aggregates as possible, but then also keep them smaller, right? So you're not pulling a lot of stuff to construct that aggregate. Okay, so next step is merging 2 aggregates together if we have some constraints. So we talked about this previous video, but I wanted to actually do it now. The first thing we want to do is look at entities that appear in more than one aggregate. Okay, so there's a reservation. We can see a reservation here. We can see a reservation here. And whenever he sees, oh, he's gonna do the menu stuff. Yeah, the menu. Right, so the menu entity can be seen here in the dinner, in the menu review. So like 1, 2, 3 occurrences of the menu. So he's just gonna replace that with a simple value object. So that's what it does. Yeah, let's do that now. We'll see about this. This might, if this doesn't have any children, like anything below it, it might mean that, you know, we'll just keep it as a value object instead. Plus, it's only being used here. Yeah, might as well be a value object. Okay, let's start here. For each skill, we have a bunch of users, right? And because the user is pretty much, it's not pretty much everywhere, but yeah, we have a user attached to the resume and to the skill. So we are gonna get this, or actually like this, and do user ID. Convert these into user IDs instead of users, and we're gonna change their color to be the green color, because they're not entities anymore. They're going to be value objects now, and the skill becomes an aggregate root. But in this case, I don't think we can. Let's just see what happens. I was gonna say like, what are we gonna update here? But let's just see what happens, and we'll set this as red, because red is the aggregate, right? That's the legends. Then we go to the user. The user has a bunch of resumes, a bunch of skills, which we have here, and a bunch of positions, right? This is the moment that we read an aggregate can reference another aggregate by the aggregate root, right? So skill is an entity, but that's going to be the aggregate root entity. Yeah, it's still an entity, but we define it as an aggregate. We'll see what that means later. I'm not even like 100% sure. Okay, we have skill here. So we're going to convert this into a skill ID and change the color to be a value object. Then we have the resume. Same thing again. Resume ID converted to a value object. And then again for the position, we can see that there's only one position. We can keep this as value objects, right? It's not being, we can say position ID and position is here and it's not even referenced anywhere else. So I'm just gonna delete position as an actual entity, and I'm just gonna convert it. I'm not gonna say position ID, I'm just gonna say position as a value object. So let's go back here and position, where we have this here. That was under the, or let's, we'll revisit this later. As we can see, it's like outdated. We'll revisit this. Then we have the resume. Okay, we're done with this, so we are marking this as like an aggregate. Then we have a resume, points to a user, a single one. So we'll just convert that to an ID. And then we have a job listing, and that's unique, right? A job listing is one job listing. There we go. Might as well just do this while we are here. There we go. Job listing ID. That's gonna be a value object. This is going to be an aggregate, and job listing is going to be with the single. And now we have the resumes, and now of course just resume ID. Convert this to a value object, this to an aggregate root. So then we have these, right? So far it's pretty simple. This is going to be expanded, I guess, by a lot once we figure out how the AI parts fit into the whole application. So I bet there's gonna be a lot of changes, but so far I think this looks good. Right, we have the skill, and we treat it as a unique identifiable, because lowercase React and capitalized React and React.js or React comma or React space JS should be React, right? And we're going to use AI to consolidate that into React. And when we build the profile, we are going to point to React, the one that we know, not treat the several different ways of writing React with .js or space.js or without JS or with lowercase or capital or uppercase. That should still point to one single thing. So that's why I think we should, treat this as an aggregate or as an entity, like an identifiable thing. Right, and then we have the positions here. This about thingy is just a string. Yeah, this is just a string. That's about it. Yeah, let's try to bring all the other stuff here. Like we have the position, but that's gonna be described by these. So I'm not sure how to color these. Maybe like I'll just remove these colors. They're still gonna be like value objects, but we'll see about this thing where we have a value object, but it's like more complex. It's not like a single value, like a string. It's not primitive. There's a lot more to it, but in this case, it's only being referenced here in the user aggregate. So I'm not sure how we should treat this. It tells me that we should treat this as a value object. And Evie is here, so Evie can tell us how we should treat this. Should we treat position as a value object, because it's not being used anywhere except here, but it's more complex, so it's gonna be a complex value object, I guess. Yeah. All right, so basically that was the exercise of just figure out what your entities are that will make up your application. How do they, relate to each other? What is the relationship? The skill with the user with the resumes, etc. He explains this part. Yeah, we should probably look at it. I know he did move one of them. I don't know which one was that. Guest rating. Guest rating is only being used in the guest, so I think this is the moment where he's going to convert that into a value object instead. Same goes for the guest. Let's make more room. Moving on to the guest rating. So we are looking at the guest rating and we see it appears only over here. So now we can decide if we want to take this entity and make it a local entity instead, inside of the guest aggregate, or have it as an aggregate root. So for now, let's say yes, let's get rid of this and let's move this entire thing to here. Let's duplicate it. So okay, so there's like a local entity as well. So yeah, I guess we can do that. I'm just gonna grab this, bring this back, because I have all of these things. Color these green because these are going to be value objects, and this is going to be blue because it's going to be an entity, but it's going to be a local entity. So position, I'm just gonna move that here, delete this, move this here. That's gonna be the position, and I'm gonna duplicate position to indicate that we're gonna have multiple positions, and the position will have these, these value objects inside. So yeah, this is what's happening. Because an aggregate is there to protect the invariant. For example, you want to protect the fact that a user can have only 10 resumes. With the transaction, you protect what you will save. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have the user and we have resume IDs. So if we want to, yeah. So the question is more, what rules do you need to protect? Oh, interesting. Honestly, we didn't start off like that. We just like did this so far. But let's think about the rules then. How do we think about the rules in these contexts? We have an awkward situation where we treat skill as like a root, like an aggregate that points to users, and it's only being used here, but we do want to have these as, unique, so that we can do more stuff to them later. And when we parse resumes, or when we parse job listings, we're actually pointing to those skills. So yeah, our entities are not complete yet, I believe. The job listings are going to have a bunch of rules and requirements, like years of experience in a certain technology. There's going to be like must have and nice to have as well. And that's where the skill actually, yeah, that's where the skill is going to appear. So I'm just going to say skill ID here. Yeah, the job listing will point to a bunch of skills that are required. And it's not only just the skills, there's definitely going to be like a years of experience. So yeah, just think about this. What else is there? Staff, developer, advocate. This is the requirement. Oh yeah, the job. Oh, there we go. So there's a location on the job. There's a location type. but that can still be it's not identifiable. So there's an about. There we go, 7+ years of experience in certain things. So how do we explain this, right? We have a job listing. Again, we might have like a location under here, a location type as well. There's not going to be a start date. There's going to be a title. Actually, the job listing will have a position, right? Like, let's say you're a user. You have no positions at all. This is going to be your first job ever. You see a job listing, you apply to it, you send your resume, empty, but still you send it. They hire you, and you convert that job listing into a position, and you don't put an end date because that's where you currently work. So maybe there's like a relationship here with the job listing and position, you know? Because the position also have skills. The position also has skills. If it's a position within a job listing, then what skills are being required? If it's a position under a user, then what skills did the user practice while working on that position, right? So you see, maybe we will end up having position as a as an aggregate, or at least an entity, because yeah. But then a job listing, it's not gonna have, Think about this. We have a job listing, and let's say that it defines a position in a way, right? It defines a position. That position can be updated later and be put to the user. Like, just convert it, right? But that doesn't mean that, you know, the position is deleted from the job listing. Plus, multiple people can get hired from one job listing, right? For example, a company needs 5 front-end engineers. They're going to have one job listing, not 5 of them. So what is the relationship between those? Let's think about this. Because a job listing will also have a company. It's going to have a title, right? There might not be a start date. There's definitely going to be a location type, and employment type. A description is going to be for the job listing, but not for the position. Resources, maybe not. That's like irrelevant. So it seems to me like this can be broken down into multiple bits. Evie, did you try to make a small event storming? It can help to also for people to understand and identify the aggregates. It's complementary of this schema. No, we didn't actually do any event storming. We should do that, but I have no idea how. So let's ask the robot. Says the robot. Maybe it can give us like short instructions so that we can understand what event. Let's say we're doing DDD and we need to do event storming. Give us instructions on how to do event storming and what storming, what event storming means, what it tries to accomplish. Let's see what the robot says. Collaborative workshop method used to explore and model the domain of a business or system. The first thing is to list all past events in the application. Oh, yeah. Okay. I've seen that. I've seen that in a different video by Amichai where he was like creating like a. It was pretty cool. I can find it and link that. Let me just see. First thing to do is list all the past events. Then you will have all the commands and all read models. Oh yeah, yeah. Define the flow first. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I have a vague idea of what that is. I guess that's enough for us to start. It brings together people from various disciplines, domain experts, developers, designers, blah blah blah, to build a shared understanding of the domain through visualizing the flow of events in the system. Yeah, and you when you look at the video you look at is the second part of this exercise. Yeah. This is like part 11, but there was yeah, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. Let me just see what's going on here. The goals of event storming: understand the domain deeply, bring clarity to complex domains by uncovering processes, bottlenecks, and pain points. Collaborative modeling: create a shared understanding between technical and non-technical participants. We talked about this, right? What DDD aims to solve, like a shared glossary of terms that everybody understands, both non-engineers and engineers. Identify bounded contexts. Lay the foundation for dividing the domain into smaller, manageable pieces in DDD, and discover domain events. Focus on the system's behavior and how it changes over time. Cool. Key components of event storming. Domain events. These are the core building blocks. The events themselves, represented as orange sticky notes. They describe something that happened in the past, written in a ubiquitous language, the order placed, right? Yeah. Commands are actions taken to trigger an event, usually represented as blue sticky notes, like place order, order placed. Aggregates, the entities or business logic responsible for handling commands and generating events. There we go. So the aggregates are the entities or business logic responsible for handling commands and generating events. Actors are the people or systems interacting with the domain, represented by yellow sticky notes. Policies, business rules or automatic processes triggered by specific events, represented by pink sticky notes. Policies, let's see. Business rules or automatic processes triggered by specific events. Yeah, so we need a command. When we trigger a command, we create an event. Yeah. An event, and then once an event happens, that can have a policy that is triggered by a specific event, represented by pink sticky notes. External systems outside the domain that interact with it, often represented by purple sticky notes. Okay, we'll come back to this, but we have like an understanding of the 6 tools that we're going to be using. Steps to conduct an event storming workshop. Preparation. Assemble a diverse group. I think we have a really diverse group in the chat. Include domain experts, developers, product managers, and other stakeholders. Materials needed. Large roles. Okay. Start with the big picture. Introduce the process. Briefly explain what event storming is and what the team will accomplish. Okay, so hey team, we are gonna do event storming, and the idea is to understand the domain deeply, right? I'm just joking, but yeah, event storming will help us define the bounded contexts, the aggregates, the routes, the events, and and basically everything. Okay, timeline setup, layout a physical or visual timeline. Ooh, I'm the worst in that. To represent the chronological flow. Oh, okay, cool. The chronological flow of the system or business process. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Amichai was doing basically something like this. Like he created a timeline that goes from left to right of how, you know, of like the operation flow. And he used different sticky notes like we did here. He used different sticky notes to define commands, to define, let's go back to ChatGPT, to define, what else was there? Policies, actors, aggregates, etc. and events. Okay, so first we add the events. We ask the participants to identify and write down domain events on orange sticky notes. User registered or payment received. Yeah, let's try that. Stick these events along the timeline in their sequence, in the sequence they occur. Encourage brainstorming and avoid overthinking or debating at this stage. Listen to that, Lazar. The goal is to capture as much as possible. Well, let's actually go ahead and do that. So we have a different agenda or a different. Oh wait, it's way too big. We have a different activity now. So I'm just gonna grab these. This is going to be the legend for the event storming. So we had actually put this side by side like this maybe, so that we have space but still read the instructions. All right, these are events, and the events are going to be with orange sticky notes. Then we have commands, and they're going to be blue sticky notes. Then we have aggregates, and then they don't have sticky notes. Actors, they're going to have yellow sticky notes. Policies, they're going to have pink sticky notes. Okay, that's good. That's pink, right? And we have external systems defined by purple. I'm gonna say just ext sys. They're gonna be purple. Oh, no, that's purple and this is not pink. These are way too close to each other. Okay, I hope this is okay. So this is our legend. These are the things that we're going to be working with, right? First thing to do is to add the domain events. Okay, so in a normal flow, right? Let's say the user finds out about the application. How will they use it so they end up, you know, doing what they wanted? They end up happy at the end. So first they sign up, right? And I stop posting. No, you've been super helpful, Evie, honestly. All right, so the user signs up, right? And we're gonna have this line, right? This is going to be the past right here. It's gonna be like a little annotation. And this is going to be the future. Just so we have like so we know the line. First, the user signs up, right? The last thing that we want the users to do is to generate a resume, right? Generates resume for listing. Oh yeah. Okay. Signed up, past tense, generated, and we generated a resume. I'm just gonna say generated a resume. We know that we generate resumes for specific listings. So this is just going to be generated resume. There we go. Okay, so the user signed up. That's how they start using the application, and they end using the application by generating a resume. In the meantime, they also finish complete their profile. There we go. They completed their professional profile somewhere along here, probably. Like after signing up, they completed their professional profile. So we have a profile ready in order to generate a resume. We need a job listing, right? We need to paste in a job listing and like parse it. So I'm gonna say another event that's going to be here, and it's going to be submitted a job listing. Yeah, let's just name it like this. Submitted a job listing. Okay, so we sign up, we complete our profile, with all of the previous job experiences that we had. We submit a job listing, like I want to apply here to this job listing. Generate me a resume for this specific job listing. There's like some time, crunch numbers, and at the end, we'll just generate the resume. I think that's like the normal flow. Of course, already logged in user will just repeat this. Oh, not that. Don't mess with the timeline. Just this. Just these two. Submit a job listing, get a resume. Submit a job listing, get a resume. But this is basically what will happen from start until the end, basically. Okay. Let's go with these 4 events, right? It is an MVP. We're not gonna have like more stuff. This is the core value of the application, right? All right, so next thing is to group and arrange the events. Rearrange the domain events into a meaningful sequence. Look for gaps in the timeline where events are missing and add them. Okay, yeah, we did add submitted the job listing that way, right? And I guess this is from the user's perspective? No, events and commands will define, no, not events, but like commands will define that. Yeah. Okay, let's move on then. Next, identify commands and actors. Step number 5. Add blue sticky notes to indicate commands that trigger events, like submit registration form. Use yellow sticky notes to represent actors or systems initiating these commands. Okay, so signed up. We'll have an actor here. I'm gonna just say user, right? We'll have an actor of user. I would use user signed up, professional profile completed, and resume completed. Yeah. Yeah, that's better. So user signed up, professional profile completed. It's in the past. Job listing submitted. Right? Because for example, the generated resume will be a read model that you will display, for example. Yeah. Job listing submitted. Cool. Yeah, that's better. Okay, we have the actor user and a command. The user submits that form. like this, and then we lead to, and that leads to the user being signed up. This is how it looked like on the video. I'm actually try to find it. I watched it like in the hour before. Aggregates. This was the scale. Maybe I didn't even do the. Oh, there we go. Mapping software logic using process modeling. This is that thing. You see how it looks like behind? Okay, so let's have Amichai teach us again. There we go. The hosts start dinner command. The pink one was. Oh yeah. Send the link. It's actually paste the link because this is what we need to do before, and I'm also gonna add it to the document as well. Domain modeling, not domain, event storming tutorial. Yeah, let's name it like that. Command K, paste this video. If you, yeah, keep this link so that you can go back to the, you know, to the links later. Okay. Make sure to do this. I might even play the video, but without the audio, so we can understand this much better. Just need to do this real quick. Oh, and by the way, do subscribe to Amichai because that guy is super smart. Like, I've learned a lot from him, and yet I'm still learning. Really cool channel. All right, let me see something.
That's an interesting event. Let's make.
Okay, so you can hear that. I'm not sure about, you know, the copyright stuff, etc. I don't want to mess it up, so there we go. So you're not, you can't hear this, but I'm basically going to, I'm just gonna watch it real quick so that I understand better, so then we can go. But you should watch this. You should watch this in the meantime. Yeah, this is called process modeling. Yeah, we did domain modeling, but we need to do process modeling before we need to do domain modeling, right? Hey, Hanu. Hold on. I'm actually gonna play this. I'm actually gonna play this. You're gonna be able to hear it.
Hi everyone, I'm Mihai here. In today's video, we're going to take a look at what the process of breaking down a complicated scenario can look like. Okay, so what I did as part of preparing for this series is I imagined some real application that I can imagine existing one day, and I worked my way back into actually modeling the domain and different processes, and that's what I want to do today. So if you've been following my series of building a REST API completely from scratch, following clean architecture and domain-driven design, the menu that's going to be, and then people can scroll exactly like Airbnb, find the dinner that they're interested in, reserve a spot in the dinner for themselves or plus as many people as they want, and the payment and everything happens through the application so that we can take a cut. This is an application that I can totally imagine existing for real by Uber or Airbnb or some other company simply taking this concept and applying it. Now, my application is almost complete. So in the last video, we looked at event storing is process modeling. So like we said in process modeling, you start with some events for context. So let's say that some context is that the user already registered and also that the user was approved as host. Okay, so let's imagine very similar to Airbnb, where basically you sign up to the platform, and then by default you're just a guest. You can browse the different dinners and reserve and so on. But if you want to be a host, then you need to go through some process. Obviously, because we're talking about food and people's houses, you need to be approved to actually be a host. So for context, let's say that these two already exist. Okay, and the first command that our process modeling is starting with is the create dinner command. This is done obviously by the host. So let's say that the actor here is the host. And the last event that we're aiming towards is, let's say, that the dinner ended. Okay, now because these are interesting events, then let's make it a bit bigger so we can see it also when we zoom out. Same goes for these two. Let's make this a bit bigger as well. Okay, so if you remember from the process modeling video, then basically we start with some command and we want to reach some event. We have rules that we need to follow. They're over here. As we go along, then even if you're not familiar with this, then you'll see what the rules are and how it works. Now, there are a few strategies how to go from the initial command to the last event. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some interesting events in the middle, something just for us to have an easier time to see what we want to reach to. So interesting events that we have are, for example, that the dinner started. Right? That's an interesting event. Let's make this also a bit bigger. What else? Let's say that this is over here, right? So this is where the dinner starts. This is where the dinner ends. We also have somewhere here that the guest arrived, right? The guest was billed, but we also have that the guest reserved a spot, right? Okay, so again, the process that we're modeling today.
Yeah, so he's basically just adding events that, you know, would happen in a natural flow. And now he's going to fill in the gaps with more commands and
we're starting
stuff
from
like
create
that.
dinner command, and we're ending in the dinner ended event. And we put here some, let's call it pivotal events in the middle. Events are a bit more interesting. So we have, for example, that the dinner started, somewhere between the start and the end, then the guest arrived and was billed, and sometime before the dinner, then the guest actually reserved a spot. Okay, so let's start modeling everything in between.
Cool.
Okay, so let's start. We have the create dinner command. A command is always invoked on some system. In our case, it's the dinner system. Then the command results in a domain event. The domain event is the dinner created.
Okay.
Event, right? And event always has afterwards either a policy or a read model. So in our case for now,
A read model, okay. Let me ask the robot. What is a read model in process? A read model in process modeling is a specialized data structure optimized for querying and presenting information to meet the specific needs of a system's consumers. So it's a data structure, aka it's a class. It is often a denormalized or aggregated representation of data designed to provide a simplified and efficient way to retrieve information for use cases such as reporting, UI rendering, or analytics. Read models are a key concept in CQRS, where the write side of a system is responsible for handling commands, and the read side is responsible for querying and retrieving data. Avi says read model will be what you will present to the user, what you will display. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Like the presenter thingy we had in clean architecture, right? You define what gets presented, the data that gets sent to the client, for example. Customizable format, separated from the write models. Derived data contains data derived from or projected from the system's underlying domain model or event store, and it's query optimized, tailored for fast and efficient read operations, often sacrificing normalization for performance. Okay, so the read model the purpose is to improve performance, simplify access patterns, and isolate concerns. Cool. Okay, so after an event, Amichai mentioned after an event is created, there's either a policy or a read model. So
now let's say that...
And we also don't have any systems. There's a dinner system in his example. I'm not sure in our case, what would that be? Like, is just our system?
This simply returns the, let's say, dinner ID, also the dinner details, right? Something like this.
Oh yeah. So after dinner created the event, he used a read model sticky to define what gets returned, like what is the result, or what is the outcome of this event right here. So after dinner is created, we get a dinner ID or dinner details, etc., etc. Cool.
So this is basically the information that's returned back to the client. Okay, now these dinner details are observed by some guest. So let's say over here we have the guest is the actor, and the guest invokes the reserve dinner command. A command, again, happens on some system. Let's simply copy this system over here. And this can result in one of the followings. So either in that the dinner was reserved, but it could also have failed. So we can say reservation failed. Okay, so if the dinner was reserved successfully, then let's say that the user receives the reservation ID, but also the reservation details, something like this.
Okay, so basically the system in our case should just be the system, right? We have one. I guess that's like usable for, yeah. Event, make the system happy. Read model, make the user happy. Feedbacks, views, etc. Right. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this out. We have a user, right? And I like that he also had the actor icon in there. User. Probably I'm not gonna be able to, yeah, forget it. All right, so we have a user. They fill out the form, sign up form, and they signed up, right? I should probably extend this as well. Very slow. And I'm gonna move these. And we basically, let's focus on this part right here. We have a user that, you know, fills up the form and submits the form. Let's say that submits the sign up form. That is in, oh, it's just submit. It's not like submits. Okay. Submit sign up form. That is the command, and the event is user signed up. And there's also a read model, which was like green. I refreshed that again. The read model is green, and it's basically what, you know, what is outputted from this part. Is this even like a person in this case, like a person signed up, and the read model is like a user? Right, we get a user after this part. Maybe, yeah. And the commands are attached to a system. I guess we can like omit the system. We have one, maybe, I don't know. Everything is like done. Let's try to omit it. I think it's gonna cause confusion. Interested to see what policies are. Okay, we have the user. Now the user, again, like after having that, after having signed up, they enter past professional experience to be like as descriptive as we can. So they enter the past and the current professional experiences. And when they do that, we basically have the profile completed, right? And the output of that would be the skills, the profile. Let's just say profile right now. We might get more, you know, gain more detail later on, but let's just say profile for now. Okay, then okay, there we go. So this can be like, if we really want to describe it with the external system, this basically these to happen on our system, but we can say that the user is looking for job listings on other websites, on other external systems, not our application, and they find one and they submit it to our, you know, to our system, but the event is not going to be part of our system, right? It's something else, like, I don't know. Maybe we should still write it in case. Okay, let's see. We have a profile, the user does this, and then they finish their profile. Now let's focus on this one, the job listing submitted. First, the user, oh, not that one, this one, the user, it's always the user. There are not other roles. In this application, it's just one role, it's a user, that's it. So they, the user, searches for or browses. Yeah. So they browse job listings on external job websites, like LinkedIn, for example. And they find one and they submit job listing on our system. Is this looks like it's correct, right? And what is the name? Oh, right. So instead of a system term, think about the aggregates you created just before. Yeah, like the job created event is the job system. The user redirected is, yeah, browser or navigation system. Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, that's much better. Okay, so user sign up form. Yeah, that would be on our authentication, on our authentication system. That's when they sign up, and then they're gonna do this probably on the profile system. Let's just say. I mean, there's gonna be like some extra stuff that will develop, but it doesn't make sense for this to be authentication because it's not authentication. Okay, there we go. I don't know why, but I've developed this. No, it's a user. This is not part of our system yet, so let's just, you know, let's just do submits a job listing that they found, we don't care where, irrelevant for the functionality of our application. But now which system handles the this would be the job listing parsing system, right? We have a system that takes in a job listing, a URL, it reads it and it parses it so it can save it to our database. So that would be the job system. Yeah. Job listing. Because job system looks like a system that triggers jobs like cron jobs. This is going to be the job listing system, and then it's submitted. But then after it's submitted, it needs to be parsed. There we go. Slowly expanding things. Oh, cool. So for the policies are the when job listing submitted successfully, that's when it will trigger other commands. Nice. Okay, so these are pretty much detached. We sign up, we don't have to do anything. Then we fill up the profile, but we had to be signed up in order to do that. So that's fine. That's correct. But then again, we don't have to do anything after this point here. And then we have this job listing submitted. When we submit job listings, we should, we're going to trigger that parsing functionality and save a bunch of stuff from the, in the database there. Okay, let me move this over. This is cool. This is pretty cool. Oh, there we go. At the end, we'll have the resume generated, but we are just a few more steps away from that. Let me see what happens here.
Reserve, but it could also have failed, so we can say reservation failed. Okay, so if the
well, this is where the parsing, we can successfully parse it, or the parsing may fail.
Dinner was reserved successfully, then let's say that the user receives the reservation ID, but also the reservation details.
Beautiful.
Something like this. Okay, now what we want to do at this stage is simply reach the last event, looking at the good flow, at the main flow. So for now, this of course is something that we do care about. But for now, let's put here a hotspot, and let's simply say here, I don't know, what should we do, right? There are many things that we can do here. We can maybe suggest a different dinner. There are a few things that we can do, but for now, let's just simply say, what should we do? Okay, so another thing that we might want to have over here is, let's say we have the dinner reserve policy. Okay, so let's say when a dinner is reserved, then it makes sense we also want to notify the host. That's the one reserved to the dinner. So let's say this invokes the command of notify host, simply for now. And this is invoked again on some system. Let's say this time we're doing it by email. And this results in the host notified guest reservation event or something like that.
Beautiful.
Which simply has over here, again, let's say something similar to this also arrives to the host by email as well. Okay, so what we have for now is the beginning up until this, right? So this event over here is the dinner reserve. Let's make this a bit bigger because this is a more interesting event. Okay, now there are many other things that we can put here in the middle, but in the first round, all we want to do is reach the end. So we have this, the user created a dinner and a guest reserved a spot in the dinner.
Right, okay, so we got the policy. We got the policy figured out. Let's see. Submit a job listing, the user, the job listing system, which, does the job listing submitted. But it's submitted, right? And then we have a policy here. After the job listing has been submitted, we are going to trigger that parsing, right? So this would be submit. This will be the job listing submit policy. And this will trigger the parse job listing command. So out of this command, there can be two events, right? There can be a successful parse and there can also be a failed parse. Maybe the URL doesn't exist. Maybe they, didn't copy it correctly, or they added extra characters, or they deleted the last character, or, something else happens. I don't know. Maybe they're in a language that our machine learning models do not understand. So they, if even though it's still a valid job listing in that language, our system is not capable of parsing that. Right, so there's the policy. There's a command on some system, and then there's the event. Cool. Job parsing system, yeah. I named the job system, but I was like, is that a cron? You know? All right, job parsing system. It's gonna be pretty much the same. Just move this over here. Okay, so the user submitted a job listing to the job parsing system, and the job listing submitted event got fired off, right? It's submitted. And that one will trigger a policy that will trigger the parse job listing command to the job parsing system, and out of that we can have two. Wait, what was that? That was pretty far away. Are we missing anything? Oh, we missed the command. Okay, let me bring that back. Copy this one back. Command. There we go. And this will trigger two possible events, right? One of them is job listing parsed successfully. Or the failure scenario. I don't like that listing is part of the name because it's like listing parsing. Okay, job listing parsed successfully or failed job listing. I'm just gonna say, yeah, failed job listing parsing. Okay, so we have these two events, right? It can either succeed or not. You submit on the job system, but trigger a command on the job parsing. It's like the same. Two different systems, so you can have a cron or batch if needed, or to make it simple for now, just do. Right now it's like the same system. You think we should have two? You submit on the job system, but trigger a command on job parsing. Two different systems, so you can have a cron or batch if needed. Yeah, right now I'm just like, I just have a single system. I think, you know, the job parsing system will just have an endpoint for the submission, and then, you know, it's gonna be like either a cron job with like a queue, or yeah, for now it's just job parsing. So yeah, I like that. You know, we can say just job system. The job system does everything, you know, it handles the submissions and it also triggers the parsing. Yeah. Okay, parse job listing, job system, either of these. So now we are going to have, yeah, we're gonna have if it fails, we need that hotspot, right? We need that hotspot to say, you know, what are we doing next, basically. And I'm gonna name it like this. What next? You know, it failed. So what happens next? But if it didn't fail, if it is successful, I'm actually gonna move these because we're gonna expand. Yeah. Go to the end of the timeline. Yeah. There we go. We submitted it. We triggered the parsing. After the parsing is done, we either fail or succeed. If we fail, what's next? We'll see. If we succeed, then let's see. If we succeed, we should trigger that comparison, or like we should trigger the generation of resume, right? We have the user profile. We just need to get the profile, get the parsed job listing, see where the intersection is between these two, and now generate a resume out of the intersection, basically. Okay, so this event is gonna have a policy. Job listing submit policy, and this was job listing parsed. Policy that will trigger this the command to generate. Yeah, see, for example, when we do job listing submit, in the job listing, we should also, let's see, in the job itself, which is not the listing, in the cron job, let's say, we should also keep track of which user triggered not the parsing, but the new thing. So instead of parse job listing, we're going to say generate resume for listing, right? We're gonna need to do this, but in order to do this, we need to have access or just keep track of the user as well. So we need to have that memorized somewhere here. Okay, generate resume for listing and user. I'm gonna keep it here. Generate resume for listing and user, and then after this is, yeah, of course, this is in the, it's not gonna be the job system anymore. It is going to be the resume system. Right, we'll have a resume system that takes in a job listing, a pre-parsed one, takes in a user and knows how to generate that resume. And then after this is done, we can have resume generated successfully or failed. Let's look at the failed. If, for example, what would it look like if we can't generate a resume? How would that look like? What do we think should happen in order to fail generating the resume? Maybe there's no overlap. What should happen if there's no overlap? What if this application is not just for, what if this application is not just for tech, but it's for everything? And I apply for, I don't know, to be a cook. I've never worked in a kitchen professionally. So my profile, the one that I have created, in the previous step, has zero overlap to, anything related to cooking. So unless that job listing is like an internship, or, I mean, of course, internship also requires some level of minimum, that would fail, right? I mean, it's not gonna fail. We should explicitly do something, I guess. I don't know. Right? Yeah. And there it is. Yeah. Failed resume generation. Of course, I don't know what we're gonna do in that case still. So we'll just keep that there, and we have resume generated, right? This is the happy path. Okay, so once we have the resume generated, the output of the resume generation is going to be that the resume itself, right? With all the fields. And the user will have an opportunity to modify it, to change it up. We need more space. Wow, look at that. We will have an opportunity to change it. But this is the end of the process right here. There's the resume. The user can either update it, and we need to somehow map that process as well, but it's gonna be like later. Save the generation task in the database, so then the actor would be the system in the background. Hold on, let's see. You just save the generation task in the database, so then the actor would be the system in the background. What do you mean by that? Like after parsing or after generating? Because after generating, that's it. You know, we... Damn it. Yeah, after generation, we have a resume. It has a status of draft or finished, for example, or applied, or, you know, we'll figure that out now. But basically, once we have a resume, we can update it, we can delete it, or we can export it as a PDF. So we'll take the resume, basically the details, the information from the database, and we'll just generate a PDF out of it in some, you know, friendly PDF format. Okay. So let's just do this then. Here's the user. And the user will trigger the export resume as PDF. Before parsing and generating, the user asks to generate the resume. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, we should not generate. Yeah, we shouldn't generate a resume. Should we generate the resume automatically, or just, you know? Yeah. You may wait 10 minutes for the generated resume. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Let's split it up. I'm gonna continue on this later, but this part right here, I'm gonna prefix this with the user in this case, because the user will manually request to generate the resume for that specific listing, but this policy will basically trigger an email, right? Yeah, that's a cool feature. Publicly accessible URL for resume to share. Yeah, maybe like they can also like share the resumes through the, you know, through this website as well. That's really cool. Email user that, you know, notify user. I'm just gonna say notify user. It's on, you know, job after parsing successfully. In both cases, we are gonna notify the user, right? But we don't know what's next. So yeah, let's just do this then. I guess we can merge these like this, right? You can say job listing parsed policy. It's here, and we'll just notify the user. And this is going to happen to the email service. Whatever, you know, whatever that is. Yeah, what do you think of that? Yeah. Either way, whatever happens, we notify the user, and that's pretty much the end of this flow. And then the user, you know, if it's like successfully, they're going to ask, you know, request to generate the resume for the listing and the user. I'm just gonna say for listing because we already have a user. And for example, if this listing is already parsed and saved to the database, when the next user, another person, tries to generate a resume for a listing that has previously been parsed, there's not going to be any waiting. You know, there's not going to be the first time that our system sees that job listing. So we'll just say, okay, cool, yeah, let's actually trigger that workflow instead of the parsing workflow, because we've already done that. All right, yeah. Okay, so to the resume system, it asks for the generation. It can either fail or, you know, the resume will be generated again, because this is like a time, you know, type of job. We will need to do some notifications here. Yeah, so in this case, the output is going to be the resume. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna, you know, do this and then copy this over, and I'm gonna make it overlap, like make it overlap these two, because in both cases we're gonna notify the user, but this one produces the resume, the actual PDF, you know, resume PDF file, which is important because we're gonna need to do some, you know, some storage to keep these PDFs, etc. Yeah, so in both cases, we are going to do the resume generation policy. The policy itself will, you know, notify the user of the results. And then the user can just, you know, download that file. Okay, so in this case, we basically update the resume. We update the resume here that we created, generate resume. So we create a resume. It doesn't have a file yet. It just has the information. But once it has a file, we'll just update the resume with the file, and that's it. To include the link to the file so the user can download it. and we notify the user with the email, through the email service that the resume is generated, and the user, they can download, but it's just a click. We're not just gonna like, should we model that? Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, export resume as PDF. That's basically generate resume. Well, once it's done, it's going to be saved up as a file. We don't need this part. The user can just go and download it. Oh, the user notified. Exactly. The user has been notified. And the notification read model. Oh, like a... Okay. Because that's the output. The notification is gonna be like an email. But that's what's gonna be produced. Yeah, or email. I like email. Yeah. All right, so this is our system, right? This is the process. Look at that. Very nice. All right, so we did this. What's next? Let's see. I think we should ask Amichai.
The next thing we want to do is the flow of the guest actually arriving at the dinner and paying and so on. Okay, so all they need to do is scan this QR code. They're prompted to pay for dinner. They pay for the dinner and then they can enter and enjoy their meal. And when the dinner ends, then the host simply clicks the end dinner button and that's it. Okay, so let's model that part. So we have over here, this is invoked on some system. Let's say that it's the dinner started policy of notification email sent. And the read model over here is whatever, the dinner details and maybe the reservation details, right? Let's say something like this. Okay, now I just want to know what you do as long as you're consistent and you understand what's actually happening. QR code and enter the dinner or pay for the dinner and then enter. So what we have over here is a QR code as well. This QR code is observed by the guest. And when the guest scans it, then let's say that the command that is invoked is, I don't know, guest arrived. And this is invoked on some system. Let's say it's invoked on our dinner system. This results in the guest Okay, I thought there was a baby emergency, but everything is okay, so we're back. So again, what we have is the guest approves the payment. This approval is invoked on the dinner system, and this results in the payment approved domain event. And we might have some policy that when the payment is approved, then we actually want to bill the guest. So we might have over here the payment approved policy that when this happens, then we have the command that is bill guest, different than Bill Gates, that's something else. And this is invoked this time on the payment system, and this results in the guest build event, right? Great, so this is two of these, right? So we have the guest arrived, which is over here. We have the guest build, which is over here.
I like how he's like picking out specific events and like making them larger that are like crucial to the operation.
Okay, the last thing we might have over here is we have some confirmation number or just a notification that the payment was successful to the client. So what we might have over here is the receipt and also some confirmation, right? Okay, so it's starting to look good. We have the host creating a dinner. We have a guest reserving a spot to the dinner. We have the dinner starting. We have the guest arriving and then being billed. And we still have the host actually ending the dinner. So for this, let's imagine that the host simply clicks the end dinner button on the app. So for that, we have, let's go over here. We have the host invoking the end dinner command, right? And this is invoked on our dinner system. And this results in the dinner ended. And let's say when the dinner ends, then we have some policy that is dinner ended policy. And the policy states that when the dinner ended, then we check if everyone that reserved a spot to the dinner actually arrived at the dinner. And if they didn't arrive, then maybe there's something we want to do. Maybe we want to charge them.
Okay, so I like that he's also doing this, which makes me think about our part right here. For example, when the user is the one that we didn't map yet. So when the notify user generate oh, let's see. So there are two things. We can you know, we can get one thing is to basically generate the resume and have not the PDF file here, just like have the resume in the database, right? This is going to be the resume, not the PDF, but this is going to be the resume. Yeah. And we're just going to say, yeah, we're just going to notify the user, and that's it. And this is not the end of it. We still have more stuff. Honestly, I thought that this was going to be like short, but look at that. We have a whole process. All right, so yeah, email is here. Now we start. After we, you know, after we have the resume generated, and that means get the user profile, get the parsed job listing, find the intersection between these two, like what are the technologies, experiences, which of the users' experiences, professional experiences, can be applied to this job listing. Do that, you know, filter them out, put them into a resume type of data structure, and then that's it. Just keep it, you know, keep it in, just like basically keep it in database, and let the user know. Yeah, this is the beauty of sketching things out first. Before diving deep into coding, you get to see how complex things are, and then you structure them correctly so they're easier to implement. Yeah. Oh, appreciate it. Yeah. It's super fun. You know, this is like, I think this might be more fun to me than, you know, the actual coding. Like, let's geek out on processes and draw this and basically design the whole thing. But coding, yeah, that someone else can do that. Yeah, maybe I should pursue a career in, I don't know, architecture or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, definitely. It is opening my eyes a lot. Like going through all of these. Look at that. Look how much processes we have defined. And we're going more and more into detail, and, you know, yeah. Las Architect. I like that. Las Architect. All right, let's sketch out the last part, which is we got the resume done in the database as like just a shape of data. Let's actually get that and sketch out the part where the user either exports it as a PDF, like generates a PDF out of the resume, or like you know, or basically updates it. I don't know. The update should be straightforward, right? It's not really a process. It doesn't even trigger something. Like if I can go in and update the resume that's, you know, in my dashboard. I can go in and change up a few things, and that's it. If I just save it, it will be saved, and that's it. And when we say generate a PDF, that PDF will just generate the PDF, put it on a file storage, and, you know, have the set like the download link to be 1 hour valid of the actual PDF itself. But after that 1 hour, and this is a process, right? We will trigger a deletion so that we don't end up, you know, hosting terabytes of PDFs nobody even downloads. So we're going to implement that, you know, self-cleaning functionality as well. Yeah. In my company, sometimes we do that with some people to be able to split everything and work on different parts. Really useful. Yeah, I like that. I like that, you know, you get to touch all parts of the system, not just, you know, you're a front-end developer and that's it. You know, just like push boxes on screens. And if that's something that you want to do, then sure, there are companies that do that. But I like to be involved in everything, you know? Yeah. All right, so we're not going to be sketching out the update because it's just an update. You just, you know, put stuff in the database and there's no triggers. Once something is updated, there's no triggers. At this point, the resume is just static data in a database, and updating it just means, you know, update. That's it. There's no triggers coming out of updating. So let's sketch out convert it into a PDF, download it, and delete it like after 1 hour. So I'm gonna bring in one command, which is going to be generate PDF out of resume, right? Subscription plan for storage. Yeah, maybe that can be, you know, that's a point. That's definitely a monetization point out there. Like if you want to keep track or persist your PDFs, definitely. But I was thinking we generate it, we let the user download it, and we'll just delete it after 1 hour. If the user loses it, then they can generate the PDF again, right? And I think should be like a cheap operation. Yeah. So we're basically generating the PDFs on demand. If we decide to keep them and charge the users based on the storage, if they want to expand their storage, that means that if that's happening, that in that case we need to do some stuff here, or actually model or sketch out the update process. I don't know, generation or cost, or which is more costly. I have no idea. We need to think about this. But if we decide to keep them, we should do what? Every time the user updates it, we need to like mark the existing PDF that we keep as like outdated or something like that, right? Yeah, let's think about this. If we decide to keep them. I like that, you know, I like the aspect of keeping the PDF after generation so that users can download it multiple times. But why would you wouldn't download a PDF that's custom tailored to, you know, a specific job listing again. You would just like download it once and then upload it to the form, you know, on their website. Like you go to, for example, Century Careers, you look at, I don't know, let's see. There we go. Software engineer in Toronto. You read through this, right? Qualifications and stuff. You say, okay, I'm going to copy this. You'll throw it in the you know, in the application. You wait for a few minutes. You get an email that it's ready. You go in, you generate a PDF out of it, you download the PDF, and then you scroll down, and you just do apply for this role. It'll take you here. You'll upload the resume. We can even do like cover letter generation as well. That can be like an extra, right? You write it yourself, or have the or have the machine generated for you. Fill up all of these things and yeah, submit application, and that's it. You don't even need the PDF anymore to like re-download it. You can keep it in, like, I don't know, if you keep stuff like that, if you apply to positions more often, you might as well keep it in, you know, Google Drive or something like that. So yeah, I would refer to, instead of keeping it by default, to do it, you know, generate it on demand, because I see like this flow happening a lot more often than people going back and re-downloading the PDF. That can happen, you know, if you're switching machines or if you're doing some stuff from your phone and then you come home and, I don't know, use your laptop and you don't have the PDF there, you want to just like re-download it. Sure, you know, generate it again. It's not gonna cost too much, but to keep it on, you know, to keep it in the storage just in case they need it, that's like, you know, that's like basically paying every month just in case they need it. But they applied to this job, maybe they got declined, maybe they got hired, then, you know, they don't care about the PDF anymore. So that's why I'm thinking I'm going to lean on the on-demand generation and deletion rather than, you know, generate it and keep it. Yeah, I think it's gonna be more, you know, it's gonna be simpler for us to even implement this. All right, so generate PDF out of the resume. We trigger that command. And I guess this is going to be the PDF system. Is this going to be the PDF system or is this going to be the resume system? I think it's going to be the resume system still. It is a different functionality, but we don't care. The resume system has access to all of the resumes, and that's all it needs to generate a PDF out of it. It's just going to be like a, you know, let's do that. Yeah, definitely. Interesting methodology. All right, so I'm going to say resume system here again. We'll keep it under the same system. There we go. Okay, so it's a target, and this will cause 2 events: failed or resumed, just like always. So I'm gonna grab these 2, copy them over here. Failed or PDF generated. In both cases, there's going to be a policy here, a PDF generation policy, which will look at that now. Yeah, this will basically trigger 2 stuff. It will notify the user. So I'm just gonna grab this whole block here. Oh yeah, totally. Oh yeah, totally. So Red says you could also send the user a follow-up email, maybe in a month, asking them if they got hired or not, so you can track successful generated resumes. Definitely, and that should be like a single click yes or no. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and that's gonna happen here. Like after they download the actual PDF, after they download it, that's going to, you know, start the 1 month clock, because they have it now, the actual PDF, they have it, they can go and apply with it. Cool. Yeah, I love that. Oh no, undo that. That's not what I wanted to do. Need more space. There we go. Future. All right, let's see. The user asks to generate the PDF out of the resume. We already have, it's all static data. It's all in the database. So we'll, the resume system will dig out everything and it will trigger the generation system. And it will, it'll just either fail or succeed. In both cases, there's going to be a policy that triggers a bunch of things. First, as I mentioned, we are going to notify the user. So I'm going to copy this over here, paste it. We're going to notify the user with the link, right? We're going to notify the user with the link to the with the download link. And the download link is not going to be it's not going to be like an actual .pdf resource, but it's going to be an endpoint on our system so that when the user gets there, we are going to mark it as downloaded so that we can start the clock. Okay, so and that's if it's successful. User notified, download link, PDF generation policy. So notify the user. Hold on a second. Now, when we generate this PDF, it's in this case, inside of this system, I guess we don't go into as much detail as to define what exactly we're gonna do. Like after we generate the actual file, it's gonna be in temporary, right? It's gonna be like in the actual function or whatever we use. But we need to move it to a more permanent storage. So moving that, etc. We're not describing code. We're just describing flow. So that's gonna be here. But email plus download link if successful. There we go. Email plus download link if successful. And that's it. Once the user... Oh, right. You might want to be careful when sending emails with links because they might get auto-sent to spam. Yeah, true. Yeah, we should definitely look into that. Indica asks, is there a notification module inbuilt? In Django, I'm not sure. We should see. We should see. If not, we'll just use the I don't know, SES, something like that. Okay. We ask for the PDF. We get an email. If the user decides to stay on the screen, sure, we'll just update the UI with the actual link. But once the user clicks that link, once the user downloads the PDF, and where is this going to happen? Onto the resume system, I guess? I guess, yeah. The resume system would create resumes, generate them to PDFs, and handle the download links. That's not like too much, yeah. Okay, cool. And then we'll have just one event. I mean, of course, there's gonna be two. The link doesn't exist, so it's gonna be like, or the link is still valid and the PDF is generated. Yeah, let's bring that over here. So then we'll say download link expired or non-existing. In this case, hey Evie, thanks for the help. Have a good day. Yeah, in this case, we're just gonna add a hotspot. Just gonna add a hotspot here where we say, I don't know. Nope. I'm just gonna keep it as like what next? What next after, you know, after this? Probably nothing. And you know what? I'm just gonna delete it. Downloads the PDF to the resume system. The resume system will initiate that, you know. Let's see. This is the policy. After the policy, no, actually here we have an event, but the event will have a PDF. We'll say downloaded, and then we'll add a policy. We're gonna add a policy to this event. We're gonna add a policy to this event to trigger that 1 month check-in email. That's a really good feature. Yeah. For example. Okay, so the user downloads the PDF. That's in the resume system. The PDF gets downloaded. The user is happy. They can use it. But in the meantime, the download policy will trigger the schedule follow-up. You know, it will schedule a follow-up email after 1 month, and that's going to happen to the email service, like so. And then after 1 month, okay, how do we, now we have a temporal email service. This is not going to get the user notified immediately. It's going to get it get the user notified much later on. So how do we sketch that? Email schedule then. There we go. The event is going to be email scheduled. And this is just going to be an email. There we go. It's going to have an email, and then when the user, if the user replies, I guess the user will have an opportunity to mark it as like successful or mark it as hired straight after downloading it. You know, like download it, send it, and maybe he gets, maybe they get a reply back, you're hired, immediately. Right? We need to allow the user to mark the resume as hired as soon as, you know, they download it. Yeah, so let's try to sketch that out if we can. Right? So the user marks the resume a specific one as hired, and that's gonna happen again in the resume system. I think, yeah. Two buttons, call to an API endpoint. Is that how it's done? Pretty much, yeah. Just mark it as hired. But that's gonna trigger a whole lot of process in, you know, behind the scenes. So the event is gonna be resume marked as hired, but there's gonna be a policy attached to that. There's gonna be a policy attached to that that will trigger that like retrain ML model with this resume included. We want to retrain our machine learning model with this resume included because we know that it's a winning resume. So we want to capture that and feed it back to our machine learning model so that it's going to be smarter, right? Okay. And then what's that gonna cause? That's going to be, oh, it needs a system. I don't know. Machine learning system? I don't know. Probably. Because we're gonna have our models somewhere. They're not gonna be part of the, you know, the API. They're gonna be like somewhere. And this system will, like when we say generate, not PDF, but like when you say generate resume for listing, we do that to the resume system, but then this policy, yeah, resume generated, or we can expand this and say, okay, there's a request in, right? And then another, and then that policy will trigger another system, or another system will use that, which is the ML system will use that, you know, policy, or will be triggered by that policy to generate that. How do you keep track of generated resumes that got hired? Like this, we'll just, you know, mark it in the database. That's it. We'll just mark it in the database as hired, and that's it. Okay, so now we should just do this basically. We'll just say machine learning model optimized, you know, for the lack of better terminology. And now it's optimized, and once it's optimized, come on now. Yeah, that's gonna be it basically. And there's no, yeah, there's no read model. Okay, are we done? Whew. It appears so. It appears that we are done. Damn. Process modeling, make that, I don't know, make that like super large so that we can see it from far away. This is the process modeling part, starting from the past. We go through all of this. Look at that. Hell of a good work. Okay, so the next part that we need to do after this, and we're gonna have to do this on Wednesday, is we're gonna revisit this, and we're gonna try to, you know, we're gonna try to pull out the models and aggregates and you know, events and stuff like that, and revisit this part right here. That's what we're gonna do. But for now, let me actually just write that in so I don't forget it. So our Wednesday stream, we're gonna revisit the process modeling results, continue with the domain modeling. Right? That's about it, yeah. All right. This was a hell of a good work. All right, yeah. I think we're done for today. We learned a bunch of stuff, right? Let's do a quick recap. So we learned about the domain modeling and, you know, what it means, why we do it. We started off, we should have started with this part. We did a bit of, you know, we started with that part and now we got back, so we need to revisit this. But yeah, we basically started with domain modeling, which meant figuring out what are all of the entities in our system and the value objects as well. And value objects were like the data structures that are not identifiable. They just hold data. Like, for example, you have a user and the user has an address, and that address is, you know, that's a value object, right? There are a lot of people living in that building, for example, on that address. So there is no ID, but it is an information. It is a piece of information. So we learned about that. We tried to basically figure out all of the entities and value objects, and did the exercise of merging entities together or creating aggregates out of entities. But we should have done this instead. We should have done the process modeling first, and then out of that try to extract the entities that are inside of our application, and then do that. So in the next stream, we're gonna do that properly. I'm gonna watch Amichai's videos more to learn, you know, to see if I'm actually missing on any other steps. And then yeah, we're gonna revisit the process modeling results, what we just did now, and we'll try to come up with all of the entities and, you know, stuff like that. So from there, once we have the entities and aggregates and you know, value objects, we're gonna look into modeling our database, basically coming up with the models, putting them into place, do some migrations, do some SQL, so that we have our database ready, and then we'll start to you know, code the behavior. But thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna share something cool with you. There is a thing that we're doing at Sentry called Debug December, which is basically like advent of code. And yeah, you click in, you see a challenge, and you try to solve it, and not like write code, but debug it. So this is Debug December, right? The code is already here, but there's an error somewhere, and you see the error details here. And this is coming from Sentry. So you are coding until you actually solve this. And there are going to be prizes every week. So yeah, go check this out. If you're into, you know, solving challenges and stuff like that, this is going to be super fun for you. It's just about debugging. It's not about writing code. It's about seeing where the bug is, right? And yeah, there's gonna be some prizes every week. So cool. Again, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I recently reached that was like yesterday, not recently, like literally yesterday, I reached 10,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Super excited about that one. And I can't wait to, you know, reach 100K maybe. Let's aim for the stars. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It will make me very, very, very happy. And I'll keep doing this. Again, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna see you on Wednesday at the same time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.